Hey everybody, this is Lily with Lily of the Light, and I'm here going to be discussing the three big mistakes that people make with manifesting. And this came up a lot for me in the last few weeks, clients talking about how manifesting isn't working. And I wanted to do this discussion with someone who I respect and I love hearing talk. And I call her the manifesting guru, but she is actually known as a confidence coach. Jana Corinne will be joining us today for this lovely discussion. So let's bop her on the screen. Hello, my
Hey, Lily. Hi, everyone. Good to be here.
Wonderful. How are you doing today?
Good. I had a wonderful morning. Ate good breakfast, did a couple things, worked out with my trainer, and now I'm on here with you. So it's been a good day so far.
Yes, raising that vibration, making sure you can manifest when you need to. Absolutely. So I will be looking down constantly at my list like I always do for people who don't know why I keep bopping my head down. So I would like you just to say a little bit about yourself first and why you're the badass that you are so that people know exactly who they're working with here.
Okay. Oh, thanks for the intro. No. Okay. So I'm Jana Corinne. I'm known as the confidence coach, and I work primarily with female entrepreneurs. And my whole coaching practice is around you stepping into the confident version of yourself who is doing all the things in her business that she wants to be doing, but she's a little bit afraid of. So it's just you with more confidence, a higher sense of self-worth, elevated self-esteem, a kick-ass personal image, a little less self-doubt, and the woman who is taking action and manifesting her desires into her life despite the fear. So that's kind of what I'm all about and the work that I do with my female entrepreneurs.
Very cool. And some of the stuff that Jana has helped with like manifesting and everything like that comes from a place of like owning it and owning yourself and your own power, but also your mindset. And so those are two big things that we're going to kind of dabble in today and stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about is the icky, uncomfortable one that no one ever wants to talk about because it's icky and uncomfortable. And that is toxic manifesting or manifesting from ego. So I've met several people in the past few months who say, I am so good at manifesting. Let me tell you what I can get from this, this, and this. And it's strange, like they're coming from such a place of ego that is it really authentic? So I guess that's my first question with this one, Jana, is like, when you're coming from ego, can it be an authentic manifestation?
Using the ego to me, it's like you're forcing things. You're trying to use our humanness to force action, right? To force things. And to me, it's kind of a little bit of a manipulative way of doing things, right? We're trying to force other people to get what we want, right? Yeah. And that's, to me, that's, the ego gets in the way a lot, right? We're human beings, we have an ego. But it's really not in alignment with your true self. So when I say true self, some people call it your inner being, your soul, right? Your soul's purpose, your true self. It's really not in alignment. And so when you do that consistently over and over again, you're getting stuff, you're feeding your ego, right? But there's this internal conflict. There's this disconnect. You just kind of feel like you're not truly fulfilled. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And so the reason this came up for like manifesting and stuff was actually the example of I was at an event and there was another vendor who didn't skipped breakfast. And we've all skipped breakfast before, but it is also our responsibility to take care of ourselves and to, own that. And at this event, it was super busy and they just kept complaining how hungry they were. And they were complaining to clients and attendees of the event until someone fed them, until someone bought them like DoorDash or Grubhub or something like that, and then skipped their session with them so that the vendor could eat. And I looked at it and he was so proud, like, I am so good at manifesting. I manifested this sandwich. What? And I was just like, that makes me feel so ishy though. I couldn't imagine doing that. Like if I were to say something like that, and as most people know, the way to my heart is absolutely through my stomach, give me food. It's like, I'm hungry. Will someone order me pizza? Like, and if no one says anything, then guess what? I order my own pizza. Like, so it's like sending it out into the universe. And if someone says yes, great. But it's not complaining like, oh my God, and I didn't eat and I'm so this. And so it's, to me, as like an empath and seeing energy, when people manifest from ego, it looks different. It looks negative and ishy. And so when people come to see you, Jana, do people have to like switch their mindset to not manifest through ego, or like how does that process work for you?
Typically, the women that I work with are a little bit more empowered than that, right? The women that, and this is for all business owners, this is something I teach in my classes and my coaching. As an entrepreneur, you get to choose, on a side note, you get to choose who you want to work with, right? Mm-hmm. And so the women that I work with are a little bit more empowered than that. That's just something that in my own business, I'm only going to work with people who take responsibility for themselves, right? And don't blame other people for their problems, or aren't trying to, manipulate people into manifesting. So I will say this though, that type of manifesting feels exhausting, Lily, because you're constantly having to,
it's an agenda.
Yes. And it's like you're manipulating and we're trying to get people to do things. We're trying to get. And you will actually exhaust your energy that way, because it feels like you constantly have to take action, and kind of manipulate people, right? Yeah. And it also stems a little bit from, and this isn't in every case, but I find that people who do that are a little bit in victim mentality, or they feel like the world owes them something, right? They feel entitled in some way. Maybe they've had some past bad experiences and they just feel like people owe them, right? And that's not a great place to be. And the whole point to manifestation is so easy for us. It's natural for us. We do it all the time. We're manifesting all the time, whether we realize it or not, just by our energy, right? The thoughts that we think produce emotions in our body, and that produces energy. And we're always in an energetic match for something, right? Mm-hmm. So naturally we're manifesting. It's easy. It's effortless, right? It just becomes our way of being. When you're having to force things and take actions and manipulate other human beings to get what you want, to me, that's a very it takes a lot of energy. It's very stressful, and it takes a lot of human action. Does that make sense? So it's kind of a backwards way, a tough way of manifesting and getting what you want.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I actually didn't even think about, was what you had said. It's exhausting. It uses a lot of physical, mental, emotional energy to manifest from ego. And it's like a constant uphill thing.
Yes, it's constant.
Where real manifesting, like when you're in sync with like your soul, your higher self, and the universe, and like it just clicks. It's like, oh, that was so nice. That was easy. I don't know why I worked so hard for that one goal. That, oh my God. And so I think the important thing with this big mistake for people to remember is that if manifesting is exhausting, look at where you're coming from. Is it from a victim mentality, like Jana said? Is it from manipulation? Is it from not feeling good enough? And so you have to trick people. So it's all those things. So that is the first big myth that we're going to talk about. And the reason I did it first is because that's the most negative one that we'll discuss today. And so I wanted to get the sticky, heavy stuff out of the way. The next one is actually one of my favorite things that Jana talks about. So I'll let her talk at length about this one. But it's manifesting is not, I want it. I'm going to say the mantra every day. I'm going to set up the crystal grid. It happens on multiple levels. And people keep forgetting a level. And so it's, do you believe it? Do you feel it? That type of thing. So Jana, like, what are the levels, and how do people like sync up with all the levels that need to happen for true manifesting?
A lot of times, like you were saying, affirmations, people get really frustrated because they're writing their affirmations, they're saying them out loud over and over and over throughout the day. And it comes from this, there's 3 phases that I found: hoping, believing and knowing. So people in that phase are kind of in the hoping phase. They're like, I'm going to write it 155 times and I'm going to say it 3 times backwards in the mirror, and I hope it'll work. And
it's
it just comes.
Santa. It's the Santa way of it. I want a bike. I want a bike. Santa, please get me a bike. Universe, please get me that new client. Oh my God.
I really want it.
I'm never going to not think of it that way now. It's like, it's the Santa phase.
It's the Santa phase, the hoping phase. And it just comes from this place of fear that it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And this place of panic and desperation. And when you're doing that, you're also kind of focused on it's not here yet. So I've got to do more. What else can I do? What else can I do? It's not here yet. And when you're focused on it's not here yet, you're focused on the lack thereof. So you bring that kind of lack energy to you and that desperate energy. And that's the opposite of what you want to be in, right? That we always say the energy of gratitude is so powerful, right? Because mm-hmm. it just attracts. And so that's like the hoping phase, right? And that's where people get really frustrated. They're writing in their journal, why, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing all the things. Why hasn't it come yet? Right. And then the second phase is the belief stage. And this is where I think most people shift over into, and they're like, I believe it's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. I'm trusting the universe. I'm letting go, right? I'm still taking my inspired action, right? I'm taking the little nudges from the universe, right? I'm following the signs. I'm doing my part, right? To co-create, but I'm trusting, and I believe that it's going to happen. I believe that's all working out for me. Mm-hmm. And then you get to the knowing phase where you just know. It's like you don't even have to think about it, right? Yeah. And that's when things just flow. They just line up and you're in flow. And it's like, bam, bam, bam. This person over here sent this email. I got a phone call. I got a lead on this. Bam, this showed up, and it just flows. And not from this arrogant place, but almost like, yep. You just know. Does that make sense?
It's that connection to the universe. And it's not, so I feel like when people have that like really firm grip, it's like they're not letting any of the abundance in because they've got like this chokehold on what they want. Like, but if I let it go, I'll lose it. And it's like, but when you're connected to the universe, you just have this like weird, like flowy energy where it's like, oh, I'm being pulled. And it's not like you're jerking. It's like the universe is ebbing and flowing like a river of prosperity. And so if you're not meant to go this way, it'll take you the other way. And so I like that you like the hoping, believing, and knowing. And it's the knowing, I think, that people kind of forget about. You have to know that it's happened and behave like it's already happened for manifesting to work. Like lock in that energy to have it really be, abundant and effective and wonderful type thing. So I like that you put it into the 3 steps, and I'm never going to forget the Santa now. You're going to be teaching a class and I'm going to be in the back going, ho, ho, ho. And
Merry Christmas.
Yes, because that's what it sounded like to me. It is that complete fictional fantasy. Like you're just kind of screaming it at the wind and hoping it's going to fall.
Hoping the universe, did the universe hear me yet? Let me write it one more time. Did you get that?
Yeah, it's like, can I just write out like my order and just send it?
Wait, let me add one more thing. Yeah.
Yes, no, exactly.
The thing is that we all know, we all really know. Like if you really are in trouble with, believing that you are a natural manifester, look back at those synchronicities in your life. You'll be able to spot them. When things happen to you, when a relationship came in at the right time, when a new job came in, when a new opportunity, when a new client came in, when something fell apart that needed to. So you can find them when you look back and you'll be like, oh yeah, I did manifest that. That did work out for me, right? Things are always working out for me.
Well, and it's the same with like your psychic development and your intuition. If the first thing you want to manifest is $1 million house, oh, that's a big one. And I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying it's a big one. So when like looking back in manifesting, I have manifested like socks, which sounds totally mundane, but let me tell you what, I'm wearing a pair right now and they make me happy because I know that they They were created for me. Like I got them. They came into my life and I feel great about it.
Mhm.
And so it's not always the $1 million house. You can manifest small things and honor that. You should be just as grateful for the small. It's all about the thank you, thank you, thank you. And so just remembering that like not all manifesting is going to be huge, and acknowledging the small things, because sometimes it's easier to acknowledge and like accumulate the small things than go for the $1 million house right away. So if you're just learning, pay attention to the little stuff too. And we have a comment. How would you change that if it's not intentional, just curious? And what they're talking about is toxic manifesting from ego. So if it's not intentional, how would you change that? Jana, I'll let you go first.
What do you mean if you're not intentionally?
Yeah, like if you don't know you're manifesting from ego, like how would you change that? I would say be gently curious. Nothing's going to happen overnight. We're not asking Jesus to walk on water here. Become aware of how, just like Jana said with this other one, look in the past and see how you've manifested in the past. And did that make you exhausted? Did that feel right? Did that involve any ego or manipulation to get that manifestation to happen? And if that did, don't judge yourself. No harm, no foul. I guarantee you we've all done it at some point. Then look at that and then shift it. So moving forward, gently shift it to how can I manifest in a more authentic way? So first step, just gentle curiosity and don't judge yourself with it to not manifest from ego or manipulation.
I think the awareness of it and the clarity on it is the first step. And when you have that, that's huge. Celebrate that. I think, and this is going to sound harsh, but I would just, I was in this too. So I guess I can say this without sounding harsh because I did it too. So I was in victim mentality for a long time too. And I felt like, God, bad things are always happening to me. People are always screwing me over left and right. And I deserve, this and I deserve that. And I felt like the universe or people owed me, I felt like that for a while. So I think, and I do think, and this is going to sound harsh, but this is how I felt. There were moments just transparently in my life where, not that I screwed someone over, but that I was, if someone inconvenienced themselves to help me out at that time, I was okay with it because I needed help. I felt like I needed help. Yeah. I was like, yes, I'm desperate. I need help. Gimme, right? And now I wouldn't think that way. I'm more empowered than that. If someone, I wouldn't want people to over inconvenience themselves, for me. I wouldn't ask them of that. But at that time and point in my life, I would, because I was I felt so deprived. I felt so deprived. And when you're in that place where you feel so deprived, you're not meeting your own needs, right? You can kind of feel a little bit grabby, like gimme, yes, I deserve something, or I deserve to get mine, right?
Yeah.
And so if you find yourself in that mentality, in that place, again, like Lily said, don't judge. I think we've all been there at some point in our lives, right? We've just felt deprived, we just needed help. And so if you find yourself in that place, the best way to get out of victim mentality and to step up and feel empowered is to do for other people, because it gets you in this place of gratitude and fulfillment because you have something to give, right? When we give to people, it's like this message, I have something to give, right? I'm not deprived, right? And it's an empowering thing to do. And so I would just, like Lily said, take a look at how you've been manifesting, and without judgment, just be the curious observer, take a step back. And if you see that you need to make some changes, then I would really, always tell people, when you give people the opportunity to rise to the challenge, they do. When they step up and do for themselves, maybe hard in the beginning, like the breakfast example, right? If that was you all the time and you were constantly like depriving yourself of food in the morning and you were begging other people to get you food because you felt deprived, that's a moment where I would have said, all right, I can't keep this pattern up, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the person who's scrambling for, nutrients and my whole day is thrown off. And I want to be more empowered than that. So I'm going to set my alarm an hour earlier, right? I'm going to go to sleep earlier and this is a silly example, I know, but get some more sleep, and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go get myself some breakfast and sit down and do my morning ritual and then start my day, right?
Yeah.
So just making those little shifts and patterns in the way that you think about things and the way that you behave and the actions you take, it's a total game changer. And even something as small as doing that, Lily, if you did that in the mornings, you would feel so good in the morning. You just crush it in all your client sessions, right? Everyone would probably have a better session because you were at your best, right? And you would feel good and you would be so much more empowered. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you bring up, even as you do this, I think you bring up an amazing point with manifesting. It comes from within. Your power is from within. What you're getting is something from the universe, but it's from within. So if you're manifesting like you said, the deprived, gimme, that's from out there. That's not a authentic, genuine manifestation. That's the toxic ego, because you're looking for fulfillment from out there.
Outside, yeah.
And you're
it's
also
not really you.
Yeah. And you're also looking for fulfillment from other people instead of fulfillment from yourself or from the universe. And so I believe, granted, like we all need a place to live and food and, regular humans, we're all human, but you have everything inside of you to succeed, you are powerful in what you want in your life and on your life's path. If you require someone to give you something or for you to take something from somebody else, that might not be the best way to manifest for yourself. That it's you're the badass.
And that feels chaotic too. And to me, that feels, what do I say? Like not consistent. If I'm constantly having to look outward to get, that to me, that feels inconsistent. That means I'm constantly hunting. I'm constantly having to go and see who I can get to give me things, rather than, hey, everything I could ever want is right here, and I can do and manifest. That feels stronger to me, more empowered. It feels more consistent. It feels more comfortable for me.
Yes.
For me.
And I think you bring up a good point too with it's not consistent. So you're getting the food from a client, like they're not going to be there next week. Like you can't, depend on other people to manifest what you need. You have to do it. You have to take ownership of that and rock it. And it's not like, oh my God, it's just so much more responsibility. It's like, oh my God, I am powerful. Yes. That's how you should feel about it. And someone just bopped up another question. And I think this is a good opportunity for Jana to talk about her, I'm going to say, groundbreaking class that's coming up. It is about boundaries and honoring yourself and what you really need. So the question is, what if your energy feels so drained from others despite how genuine you feel? Will their energy change your manifestations? So that has a lot to do with boundaries. So I would love it if Jana, this is exactly what your class is for, is having healthy boundaries, not just in your personal life, but professional. So please describe this amazing class that's coming up, because I think from the people who are watching, it's needed. So let's hear it.
It's funny you said that, because last week when I was creating, the class is called Boundaries for Boss Ladies. And I geared it towards entrepreneurs, because when we work in a 9-to-5 job, our structure is kind of created for us, right? When you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're working from home, you create the structure. You are the manager of your time and energy. So that's important. I was creating this class last week, and I was kind of like, I had a list of things I wanted to talk about, different classes I was going to create and talk about manifesting. And for the week before that, I couldn't think of anything. I was like, I want to create something new and fresh, right? But I don't know nothing, right? And so I finally started recording and writing, and I thought, And then the next morning, I got a phone call from a lady I hadn't talked to in a while, and we had this hour conversation. And her whole thing was boundaries. And so it was, again, the synchronicity, the signal, like, all right, make the boundaries class. So that was it. That was the little sign from the universe. So I made this course, Boundaries for Boss Ladies. And here's a thing I found, especially with women, about boundaries. And this goes for everyone too, but we all have these belief systems that we carry with us throughout childhood. They're formed in childhood and through adulthood. Mm-hmm. Unless you have the awareness to change them, they're there. They're your roadmap through life. It's how you navigate and make decisions.
Yep.
And a lot of people are taught it's better to give than receive, right? Especially if you come from a religious background. Give, right? It's better to give than receive, especially as women, mothers especially. Women are taught to sacrifice everything. The kids come first, right? And you're on the back burner. So a lot of times, a lot of my clients who come to me, they're like, a lot of them are in their 40s and 50s and the kids have gone off to college. And now they're like, I've spent the last 18 years taking care of everyone else and I don't know who I am. Or I have no clue what I'm going to do now. Now I have this time for myself. I don't know, And my friend who called me, the same thing. She's like, I have no life. All I do is work and take care of my kids, and I have no life. I've lost myself. I don't even know who I am anymore, And it's an issue. And I think people are taught to take care of everyone else. It's noble. You're the martyr, right? You're sacrificial martyr, right? And we're also taught that you can't have it all. You can't have the career or the business and the family and have the rockin' body, and all this. You can't have it all. You cannot, right? Something's got to give. You got to sacrifice something, right? And so, I'll tell you a quick story. One of my clients, she, there was all the areas of her life, she was crushing it. There was this one area that she really wanted to work on. And I said, why? Why this area? Like, what's holding you back from this area? What's the thing here? And she said, and we dug a little deeper, and finally she blurted out in the middle of our session, if I have that, then I'll have it all. And no one likes the woman who has it all.
Oh.
Yeah. She was like, no one likes the big, like people were going to hate her because she had it all. She said people wouldn't be able to handle it. That's what she said. So it was that fear, so many like messed up beliefs, fear of, people won't like you if you have it all, or you can't have it all, or, I've got to sacrifice everything. I've got to give. It's better to give than to receive, right? So people have all these stories that they grew up, these lessons, and these stories playing in the background. And so that's what they do. They think like that. They behave like that. They do like that, right? And so in my boundaries class, I teach that. I teach you how to change the way that you think about boundaries and look at those old outdated beliefs that you learned at age 6, that you learned from your mother at age 12, right? Your grandma or society, whatever, and shift those and form new beliefs that better serve you. And we do a metaphor strategy for boundaries too. So I help you change the way that you think about boundaries and you feel about boundaries so you feel comfortable using them. Because a lot of times there's such a negative connotation around them. So yeah, they say I need them, but they're not going to use them.
Yeah, but how do you implement them? And something that you said about identity, is really sticking with me now, that so your identity should come from within and your own inner power. Same with manifestation. And I've observed that people who don't have their identity on lockdown, like they're rocking it, have a much harder time with manifesting. And it's not just from childhood programming and everything like that. I've noticed this a lot with people who have PTSD. And it's the question, who am I without my trauma? And so they hold on to that so tightly. And I have PTSD. And it's like years ago when I started working with it and healing from it, I had a really hard time thinking, who am I without this? But then I just lived in my trauma. And you can't manifest anything from that. Your identity, as much as it happened to me and it's a part of me, if you take any one facet of your life and make it your identity. So like these women who it's like, well, I work and then went, and take care of my kids. It's like, but you made things outside yourself your identity. If you make your PTSD, your children, your career, your illness, your identity, you are looking at one facet of an exponentially awesome being that you are. and you're really cutting yourself short. So who are you without your trauma? Who are you without your kids? Instead of like taking out that facet, look at it as a whole. That is one facet. So instead of who am I without this, it's like, who am I with this and?
Mm-hmm.
I also do crafts. I also am a this, that type of thing. So
Yeah.
like you say, identity crisis, it's like, oh, it's because they're fixated on like one or two things of the infinite awesomeness that they are. How are you supposed to manifest when you can't even look at yourself as a whole?
Mm-hmm. You get caught up in your story. Yeah. And like you said, it becomes their identity. And the more we focus on, the more we create. And the more we tell the story to however many people will listen, the more we reaffirm the story and it keeps playing out. So tell a new story.
Absolutely. And focus on different things. Like when I introduce myself to people, I want them to see me as a holistic practitioner, as someone who wears hats all the time, as someone who is loud or funny or whatever. One of my oldest friends, she actually says, sometimes I forget that you're sick. I have chronic illnesses that limit my life in some ways, but I am still fabulous. And she's like, that's not, and I'm like, that's not the facet I want you to focus on. I want you to be aware that I can't do, like, if you ask me to do something, I might not be physically capable. But like, I don't want that to, when you say Lily, I want you to be like, oh, that diva, that goddess, that over the top, outrageous hat wearing hoe. Yes. I don't want it to be, well, that sick PTSD kind of fucked up family. So it's like, those are all facets of me and I embrace all of them as a whole. But what do you want to focus on and what do you want to project out into the universe to get more back? Type thing.
What do you want to attract? Yeah. And that's funny because Lily, let's say you were the person, let's take two different Lilies. Lily, you now, you're on a Facebook Live, you have a successful business, you heal people, you do all these wonderful things in your life. What if there was Lily who just focused on her illness and that was her? Just think about the two differences in the two lives, right?
Yep.
It's almost like two totally different people. Isn't that interesting?
Yes. And it's, I've known people throughout my life who have like similar illnesses and stuff, and that's their identity. That's all they post on social media. That's all they do. I biffed my feet again and I'm back in physical therapy and I almost needed surgery. Yay. Just rock star. And I was at the doctor and they look at my medical history, which is intimidating to see. It's just when they had it on paper, it was so funny. They just came in with stacks.
With a stack.
And they're just like, so, and I'm like, oh, you found 1 year. That's nice. Now it's electronic and now I'm just taking up all their data. But the nurse and the doctor both look at me and they're like, you're just so fun. And I said, I've done the math. I have about 20% of a regular adult life. My illnesses take up the other 80%, which is fine. I learned that a long time ago. And I said, I'm not going to let that 20% get any smaller. That 20% is going to be the best life imaginable. I am going to be fabulous when I'm awake. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to be loud and outrageous. I'm like, I'm not wasting any of my 20% for anyone ever. So I'm going to the doctor's office and talking about like illnesses and they're just like, you just make me laugh. And I'm like, good. Like, just because you have something negative doesn't mean your life has to be negative. Doesn't mean that you can't manifest. It doesn't mean you're putting limiting thoughts and beliefs on yourself. Don't do that. You don't need to. You don't need to make yourself smaller. Like Jana had said, that friend, well, I can't have everything. Some people will hate me. Oh, bitch is going to throw shade no matter what. Don't you worry.
Exactly. Exactly.
I sit there and I was talking to my mom recently and I said, you know what a life goal of mine is? Someone to choke on my sparkle. Just life goals. It's like, be so happy that it pisses somebody off. Do it. Like, just because it's not going to affect you. You're going to be happy and awesome. And it's just like, oh, yes. So do that. And Destiny messaged, yes, queen. Yeah.
I was waiting for someone to say that.
Danny is saying, I sure needed this today, Lily. Admire your spirit of not letting illness get the best of you. Thank you, Danny. Yeah, I like, no one sees me behind closed doors when I'm like the 80% of the time where I'm taking medication and in treatments and stuff like that. But that's okay, because that's a facet for me and my life. I don't need to broadcast that personally for me. But yeah, but I'm also not shy about it. I never want people to think, oh, you had a perfect life, or oh, you have everything together. No, my body is a broken down car in a junkyard, and my PTSD has me bent. But I don't want either of those things to limit the amount of love or manifestation or quality of life I can have. My life will look exponentially different than Jana's, but it will also look exponentially different than a quadriplegic's. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with either of those. Everyone's life will look different. You will rock your manifestation and your awesome, like, authentic self in many different ways. So it's just amazing. Yes, Destiny, this was one of the hats that you helped me pick out. Where's the feather?
There it is.
There we go. This was a Chapel Hats purchase at the Mall of America. Destiny is my hat homie. I pick out most of the hats that I own at this point. So now that I went off on my side tangent, the next thing I want to talk about, actually, this is something that Jana, when I fell in love with Jana, it was during a dinner conversation where she did a presentation about the baby steps that you take to manifesting. And I think a big, huge mistake people make is, I want a new car, I want a new car, I want a new car. And it is desperation, anger, sadness. You're coming from an emotional state of not being empowered, and you're not going to manifest very effectively that way. And in this amazing lecture that Jana gave, it was, you can't expect someone to go from depressed to happy. Mm-hmm. You take baby steps. So do you want to talk about that? Like, what steps do you take to get up there so that you're not manifesting from, I need a new job. Go manifest from there. You are not going to get what you want. You're going to get another shitty job with another shitty boss. Manifest up.
That happened to me when I did that. I was jumping before I had my business. I would go from job, and it was the same thing. Everybody went. I had some great managers and some great mentors. Not all of them were terrible, but it was like a toxic work environment. Manager was on a power trip, underpaid, overworked, undervalued, just a terrible environment. And I was jumping from one to the next, same thing. And so when you're in that place of lack and scarcity and desperation, you attract what you focus on, right? You're always an energetic match for something. So when you're in that energy, that victim mentality energy, that energy of lack and scarcity, I don't have, you manifest more of that. What we focus on, we create more of. And I was an energetic match for that, right? For that type of being that type of employee, right? And so that's why we always say, like, people say, like, personal power, and it sounds so corny, but it's true. Yeah. Like, you're the point of attraction, right?
Yeah.
And so when there's a little exercise I take people through one of my classes, Manifest with Confidence. I move them through what I call the energy quadrant. And it's basically when you're manifesting anything, if you've got something, especially if you have something big you really want to manifest, getting yourself in that energetic state to be an energetic match for that which you desire, right? And once you line up with that and you're an energetic match, then it's just a matter of the universe gathering all the cooperating, the people, right? And the components together for you to take that inspired action and for it to come into full physical form. So I take people through just a process where you move through your energy, through your emotions by way of thought. So if you're angry and you're frustrated, well, it's kind of unrealistic for you to just be happy and joyful. And I think Lily, it's funny because I was reading a book yesterday about this, actually. So I'm glad we brought this up. People, I think people sometimes try to, like, trick themselves into, like, positive thinking. Like, I'm happy, 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 happy. And they're, like, trying to fake happiness, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to, like, throw a blanket or throw under the rug all the negative feelings that they're feeling, right? And so and then they're wondering why it's not working. If you're feeling angry or resentful or bitter or sad, address it. Say like, hey, I feel disappointed today because this, and this, and this, right?
Yeah.
But then you can move yourself down to a more positive state, like calm, right? So if you're angry, you can kind of come down like, well, I'm really pissed off about XYZ. I'm really disappointed because this didn't work out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna choose to see this differently. I'm gonna choose to see this in a different light, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be calm about this, right? And right now, you know what? This is working out for me, and that's working out too. And I do have this, and I do have that, and things are going good. So now we're calm, we're content, and then we can move into like a higher vibe, positive energy, like optimism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I do have this, I do have that, you know what? And I'm kind of looking forward to this week, like what's going to happen with this. And I'm looking forward to all the people I'm going to talk to and the opportunities that are going to come my way, right? And the things that I'm going to discover about myself and about this, right? And I'm really looking forward to having this, right? And then we're getting into optimism, right? And then you can go to excitement, right? I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this. I'm excited to find my next new perfect job. I'm excited to start my new business. I'm excited to find that new client. This is what it's going to be. It's going to look like this. It's going to feel like this. It's going to be great. I can see it. I can, you describe all the details. And now you're in excitement, right? And joy. And that's the place that you want to manifest from. You don't want to be in that funky energy. You're going to get more funky energy. You want to manifest from that high vibe place. And that's and you can move yourself through that with your thoughts and your emotions and get that energy flowing. And so I think that's a step that most people kind of forget. They're trying to manifest from this panicky place.
Yes. And it's that energy, just that it's like, because people are like, well, I'm manifesting. I'm like, dude, you manifesting like an ulcer or something. Like you manifesting a headache and a shitty boss and a car that's gonna be janky. Like
you manifested. It's not what you really truly wanted.
Because like Jana said, your energy is a match for something. And what's that energy a match for? If you don't want it, you need to shift your energy. But it's also not. So this is one of the times where the concept fake it till you make it is not the best way to do it. So there are lots of times where it's effective. I'm not bashing the concept in general, but with manifesting, you don't fake happiness before you manifest. You need to actually be happy. And it's like, well, I'm depressed. I can't be happy. Then you do the steps that Jana said. It's like you're pissed or you're upset, and then you're annoyed, and then you're content, and then you're mildly amused, and then you're happy. Like take it in increments. And there are times when I can't think of something in the present moment that it's like, what am I happy about now? Nothing. Life is shit. That's also not a place to manifest from. But then I think of in the past, when was I happy? And I will pick not like, like actually like, yeah, like I am super content with my life and happy. And I think about that. And then I like feel the energy shift in me. And it's like, okay, so there. So even if I can't do it, think of something in the present moment because I'm being a negative little bitchy do. I'll think of something in the past that'll invoke the same emotion and then continue on with that. So it's like if you're really depressed now, think of something like we want your energy to shift to be able to manifest. And Danny actually brings up a great point as I'm reading about her new car in the comments. Just managed a new car, not just any new car, purple, all-wheel drive, heated seats. Yes, do it.
Danny's cruising now.
Yes. And Danny brings up a great point that I think a lot of people, so now we have 4 mistakes because I'm doing this one on the fly. Be as specific as you want, as you can be. So not just a new car. Do you want to be purple, all-wheel drive, that type of thing, but also don't just manifest happiness. Like, what would make you happy? Because like for me right now, what would make me happy is if I learned how to do that freaking chain stitch for sewing that I have been avoiding because I'm afraid I'm going to fail at it. So like, it's not, I don't want to manifest like how to sew. I want to manifest like, and I will take the steps to do that. My mom will be teaching me the chain stitch this week. Thank you very much. But it's being specific because I want to be happy, or I want to have sex, or I want a new boyfriend, or I want a new job. And then it's like, well, do you want to be a greeter at Walmart? Because that's a new job. No, I want it to be in my field. Okay, well, then what field is that? Well, it's specifically sales for printers. Or so it's manifest as specifically as you want to, but also as you can. Because you want it to be, and if you think this is limiting, well, that's a question for Jana. The purple car, all-wheel drive, heated seats. Is that too specific to manifest? Are you limiting yourself because you are being too specific? Let's get into it.
Let me tell you a funny car story. Is it Denise? She'll like this. Okay, so I was looking at SUVs. I want a white Lexus. And there's another car I want too, but I'm like just trying to decide between the two, wishy-washy. So at the same time, it was Madison's birthday, and I wanted to get her a remote control car that she could drive, my daughter. And I wanted a pink little Mercedes. I saw them online. They're so cute. And so I wanted both. And so we went to we were at this discount store by our house, and I wasn't even thinking about it at the time. And this is like a week after I'd been looking online. And Tyler texts me from inside the store. I was in the car. He's like, hey, they got a little car. He snapped a picture of it. On the outside of the cover in the box, it was a Lexus, but it was red.
Oh.
And I said, well, I really wanted a pink one, like a girly one for her. But I guess it's okay. How much is it? And he's like, no, the box is wrong. Because it was a discount store. So, their stuff is like this. And he opened up the box. It was a white Lexus. It was a kid's white Lexus. So Madison got her car. It was on sale too. Madison got her car. I got my white Lexus. And I laughed because that's not what I meant. I wanted one for me. But I got the combo. So that's a stupid example of being kind of wishy-washy and you're manifesting. You'll put something out there. You'll get something back. But I do think that the more this is what I think, and I think you get as specific as you can. And when you really want something, when there's that deep desire behind it, go really specific. At the same time, don't get specific about how it comes to you.
Yes.
Leave the how up to the universe. That's where you block yourself off. Focus and get specific on the desire. Leave the how part up to the universe.
Yep. Because I think, and I cannot remember, I'm going to message her as soon as we're done. So Maria Shaw is the nationally renowned astrologer. And when she talks about manifesting, it's don't ever ask how, don't ever think about how, leave that part open-ended, because in the law of attraction, it's the law of, and then thing starts with an R. And now I can't remember the name of it. Yeah. And like, you're basically cock blocking when it's like, I want a new car. It's like, So we are at Unity, which is my forever home. And I've lived here about 18 months. So those of you who knew me when this was happening, it took me a year to find this house. And I love it. It is my home and it's beautiful. The whole lower level is the healing space and it's gorgeous. It's perfect. Pond in the back. I'm realizing that I hate geese, but that's a personal issue. There's geese poop everywhere. But it took a year to manifest this, and it was something that actually my mom and a tarot reader and everyone pointed out to me. They're like, wow, you manifesting from and not. And so it was this it was such an exhausting uphill battle that involved lots of crying and not being happy. And then I found this place and I'm elated, but it was so much work because I was not manifesting from it in my highest good, from my highest self. So it took so much more work. And it was not just like physical work, but the emotional labor of it. So I'm elated to have this house. And for me, this is the example of me not manifesting well. In the end, I did get what I wanted, but the amount of effort that not only me, my poor parents, came with me to like the house showings and stuff like that. And I just love them so much for dealing with me during this time. And so you'll have those examples, those positive examples like the stocks. And then some examples that you may not have manifested very well. Don't beat yourself up over it. Learn from it. So now I would never, considering how long it took to manifest and how much work it took, I would never manifest that way again in my entire life. So no, I did not do it correctly, but I learned a lesson that I will take with me for the rest of my life because it was such a huge thing. This was not socks. This was not, one new client. This was an investment of a house and investment of my business, because half of my house, the whole lower level, is my business. And so it's like, if you cock it up, we all do. None of us is a manifesting machine. We'll all biff it. Learn from that. Take that. Observe it. Again, that gentle curiosity without judgment. And think about the times that you did manifest poorly and just sit there and go, would I want to do that again? No, I don't. Not ever. No. Especially for something big, because it took so much work to make something big happen. Would I want to negatively manifest for another pair of socks or maybe a sandwich? I'm like, not if I could avoid it, but it's like, okay, something small, but something big. It's just like, just follow the rules and manifest correctly. So you're not taking a year and crying to your parents every week for it to happen. Those beautiful people. So yeah, just don't, how do you feel about that, Jana? Every manifestation, whether positive or negative, whether it worked out or not, can be a learning experience for the future.
Yeah. Well, it's just teaching you that you're the point of attraction, So if something didn't turn out the way that you wanted to, and not from this shameful place, but just from this curious place, what role did I play in that? How was I feeling that? Right. What kind of vibe was I putting out? What mental place was I in? Right. With my energy, and just getting curious about it. I think the biggest thing for people in manifesting is clarity, knowing what you want, getting out of your own way, releasing all the fear and the doubt, and then just having the trust and just trusting that it's all adding up in my favor. Things are always working out for me, and just, doing your part, taking the inspired action. Yeah. And when you get in the habit of that, you get to that knowing place, right?
Yes, absolutely. And for anyone who is watching the screen, I just bopped up the boundaries class and the link to Jana's website. So sign up, ask questions. She's super friendly and she doesn't bite at all. I've tested this. And it is, I think, as much as people think that everything is compartmentalized with spirituality, with confidence, with your job, it's not. It all overlaps so much. And so with that, it's this, manifesting has nothing to do with boundaries. Oh, yes, it does. Especially the negative and toxic. Because not only do you not want to manifest from there, you also don't want to be sucked into someone else's toxic manifesting that way. And so it's good to have those boundaries to know, and everyone's boundaries are different and for different reasons, and you honor that. And if someone has a boundary, please respect it, even if it doesn't match yours. And I'm not talking about prejudice or anything like that. I'm talking about if there is food on my plate and you take it off my plate, I will fantasize beating it. And there are people who are like, but that's what, I do. And I'm like, no, don't. Again, food is so important to me. And so it's that's a boundary for me. That's not for everyone else. Other people are taking a French fry off someone else's plate and not fantasizing, pushing them down a flight of stairs. Fine. That's not me. Don't eat my food. I will offer if I want to share. If I have not offered, do not touch it.
But that's a hard boundary for Lily, the food sharing. Hard boundary.
Yes. But that's just one example. Some people have boundaries based on their trauma, which is none of your goddamn business. Someone tells you a boundary, you respect it. You do not need it to be justified. Don't think that you're high king shit. You're not. Everyone has weird boundaries for whatever reason. And boundaries do help with manifesting. It not only will help you avoid the things that you don't want, but it'll help curve the energy towards what you do. So if you want a new car, but you don't want a lease, you want to own it, that'll have to do with boundaries you have with money, which is something you need to honor in yourself. So that's why I put that band up there. And that's why we're promoting the boundaries class during this manifestation talk, because they do walk hand in hand. They absolutely overlap. And why shouldn't they? Boundaries are important. It's essential.
Well, the manifestation piece, like we we're talking about, it's all about your energy, because you're you're always an energetic match for something, law of attraction. Boundaries protect your energy. Boundaries are all, people talk a lot about boundaries in terms of their time, but the energy piece of it to me is even bigger, right?
Yes.
And so when we set boundaries, healthy boundaries, and we enforce them, we're really protecting and honoring our energy. And that goes from, I mean, it can be something as simple as, like, this is something I've done, is I put the do not disturb mode on my phone now. I used to jump and answer a call, and I'd be on the phone for an hour, with a friend or a client. I just have one question, and it's like, and so that's a boundary that I've put with my energy, because after that call, after that, I'd be drained, right? And then I wouldn't be able to work on my own business, my own stuff. So it's about your time. But it's so much about your energy too. So in the class, we talk about how you think and how you feel about boundaries, but I also share with you, like, practical, everyday, like, step-by-step boundaries that you can put in place, from anything from your colleagues to your clients, to your friends. Friends and family is a tricky topic, because it's sensitive. You want to give, you don't want to hurt the relationship, but at the same time, that I would argue that's probably the one of the most important places to set boundaries. And then I also give you, this is a fun piece I added, sample responses. If a client reaches out to you, Lily, and says, hey, I just have one quick question about XYZ, and that would be a session for you, right? Yeah. Can you answer this over email? Can you answer this over messenger? I have sample responses, so you can respond to people in a way that sets that firm boundary, protecting and honoring your expertise, your business, your service, your knowledge, your time. At the same time, you're still coming across like the kind human being, the giver that you are, so it's a way to do it with grace and ease. But yeah, you're right. It's all about the energy.
Yeah. And like with you put a do not disturb thing. So most people don't call me because I am a millennial. I will text and email you. I actually never answer my phone. Like when it rings, I never answer it. I'll answer it for like my mom or my dad or something like that. But that's it. And so I've had clients go, well, you never answer your phone. I'm like, yep, you'll leave a voicemail and I'll text you back or I'll call you back. And it's because I'm not available 24/7. I've had clients call me at 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. and expect me to answer the phone. And it's like, nope, not even during my regular business hours do I answer my phone, because I do everything from my phone and my laptop. And so when I'm driving, I can't take down your information to schedule you a session at all. So unless I can actively participate in whatever a client needs, I'm not going to respond until I have the time to honor your time and mine. And that's just how I do it. And so my phone just goes to voicemail, a lot and everything. But yeah, thank you so much, Danny, for thank you so much, Danny, for sharing another story about how you did on the full moon. You did an Epsom salt bath with oils and herbs, lots of healing stones and stuff, and that helped bring up the abundance in your life. So thank you so much for honoring us with your stories. We do appreciate it. We love hearing about manifesting stories. Drop them in the comments. Absolutely. Like, tell us what you rocked at. Or if you're feeling real secure with yourself, tell us your mistake. Because those count too. Those can teach other people. Like I told you about the house. I'm immensely proud of my house. I'm not immensely proud of my manifesting skills with it. No, I think I do much better manifesting with other things in my life. So check out the boundaries class with Jana at janacorinne.com. And it's wonderful and lovely. And then I'm going to talk about, sorry, I've got a screen off to the side.
That's okay. I do the same thing. I'm like,
and I like the eyes just go over.
Just like.
So, I was going to say most, but I do not want to assume. Some of you may know that Beltane was on May 1st. Beltane and Samhain, so May Day and Halloween, are the times when the veil between the living and the dead is the thinnest. This is a great time for communicating with the other side. So I am teaching a class and doing an experience on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. It's a very small class so that I can do channeling for each person there. So you get a channeled message from your guide during this, which is wonderful. And I'll put up bloop, my so you go to my website and you can schedule you can tell it's at the hour mark. I'm starting to trip over my own tongue. So it's a channeling event, and we're going to go through what a spirit guide is, why they're important, what aspects of your life they can help with. But then also you're going to do a meditation where you meet the spirit guide inside yourself, learn a little bit, and then once you come out of the meditation, I will channel each of your spirit guides for you. And you can ask questions that I then will psychically, intuitively ask your spirit guide and then get an answer. This helps a lot of people because not everyone knows that they're a badass yet. And so they like having the outside confirmation of someone like me who does this several times a week to be able to do it. The reason we do it during Beltane and Samhain is because it's easier, especially in large groups. If you want to get clear messages, go to events around this time. I know that, so I do channeling events around these 2 times. And then I know that Maria Shaw does a crossing over gallery around Samhain also. And so those are the times, like if you can only go to 1 or 2 a year, go around May 1st and October 31st. You will get the most out of the situation. People like me who are mediums, we can talk to spirits any day of the week. It's not that difficult. But to do, like, if you want a message or something, go during those times. Schedule your one-on-one sessions with your medium, that type of thing. It is always awesome. It's never disappointing, and it's so much fun to learn. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna ask you on the fly, which is kind of unfair, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Jana, do you know any of your spirit guides? Like, I know you've worked with a lot of like your inner stuff.
I have 7, 5 by name.
Okay.
And the last one is a little fuzzy, like doesn't come through, but I do mine through automatic writing. That's how it comes to me when I'm writing. And one of them seems to be like the more prominent one. And then the other ones are kind of, we'll jump in as, we go. So I have 5 named, but I don't know what the other 2 spirit guides are.
Very cool. And do you feel like they help you?
Yes, I feel like the general, the general like messages are always like chill out. not those words, but basically like calm down.
Yeah.
This is all for you. This over here, that's for you. This is for you too. That over there, everything's working out. Great. It's almost, it's like chill out, Jana.
It's that gentle guidance, because what people I think forget is when a spirit guide or anything like that, or the universe moves you over here, they're also moving you away from this, which is not what you want. So, and that's good. You should focus on what you want. Don't focus on the other thing. But remember that, like, when you're being veered, it's like, oh, this is for me. It's like, yeah, but they're steering you away from every bad decision that you could make with whatever's going on.
I'll tell you a really quick funny story if you want to hear it.
Yes.
I was writing, and I was there was a week, and I was like, I had a sales goal that I wanted to hit that week, and I'm like, like, what class do I sell? What new thing do I bring forth, right? And I got gallop with it was something weird. It's always weird. It's like doesn't make sense. Gallop with the herd, or gallop with a horse or something. And I was like, gallop with the herd. And I thought that meant like go out and like socialize with your girlfriends, like run with the fillies, like run with them and have fun, right? And it'll come. So I'm like, okay. The next day, Tyler's Etsy store started blowing up. He had a tea towel on his website that was the Kentucky Derby towel. Run with the horses. It blew that whole week. We had more Etsy sales in that week than we had the entire month. And that month, the entire time he's at his store. And it just blew up everywhere. And I was like, oh, okay. So the messages, sometimes it's funny because at first it doesn't make sense. You're like, what? And then something happens. You're like, oh, okay.
Yes.
I get it.
it can be steeped in symbolism and metaphor and stuff like that. So that's another way that like meeting your spirit guides and having them channeled at an event like this can help, because sometimes the messages are like really weird. And I've had people go, okay, so this is what was said. And then I'm like, okay, well, this is what it means. And people are like, oh, really? It's like, well, yeah, because I also don't have your ego and your guidelines to go with. I just open up
all up here. Yeah, the mind gets in the way. Yeah.
Like, say this to the person. All right, this is what I'm going to say. And so it's sometimes easier not to have someone else's preconceived notions on it when it's like just a blank slate. Like, tell me what this means. It's like, okay, type thing. So thank you. What if you don't have anything to ask? You don't have to ask anything. Like, you never have to ask something on a Facebook Live or in a class. Most times, like, things will come up during the class when you're in that energy, or you can ask a really general question. I've had people say, tell me what my spirit guide wants to tell me. And that's what's said. It doesn't have to be like, what pair of shoes should I buy? Or should I take this promotion? It doesn't have to be something like that. You can leave it open-ended, and just let whatever authentic message is going to come through. So swinging back around now that we talked about our classes. So manifesting from ego and manipulation is not authentic manifesting, and it is exhausting. 2, go from Santa to believing, and then to knowing. So don't get stuck in your Santa. And I'm so saying that for the rest of my life. I don't even care if no one gets it. I am now committed to this with Santa manifesting.
I love it.
And remember to do Jana's techniques. And if you ever have questions, comments, concerns, that type of thing, I am absolutely positive that Jana can do a one-on-one session with you. And you can schedule that through her website also. If you're just coming across like a roadblock, that you just need a little bit of help. She's great at that. She's great at let me just change your perspective a little bit. Let me just give you one more skill to make it happen. So if you guys ever like come across a roadblock like that, please, I bopped her email up, her website up again. Feel free to reach out to us. We're both fairly friendly. Only one of us bites. Yeah. So Janice,
don't call Lily. She won't answer the phone. No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah, just
only text. Only text.
Yes, I am such a millennial. Yes, text me. My phone number is on my website, just like all the rest of my information. But yeah, so thank you so much, everyone, for coming and doing this. And remember to manifest from points of happiness and elation, no matter how much those baby steps take to get there. And Jana, is there anything you want to bop in at the end of our little spiel?
Yes, you can't screw it up. You really can't. You know how to manifest. You do it naturally. Yeah. So don't feel like I'm not doing it right. I'm screwing up. You literally cannot screw it up. Just have patience and trust and just focus on your desire. Just focus on what you want from this place of joy. I mean, really, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be this struggle. It can be easy and joyful.
Exactly. And you can't mess it up. And even if you don't manifest exactly what you want or anything like that, remember, like I said, like we've been talking about, everything is a learning experience. Everything is something for your soul to remember, or a lesson or anything like that. No judgment, gentle curiosity, and you'll be fine. So even if you don't get exactly what you want, it'll be a great experience for the future and for possibly something bigger. So keep that in mind. Maybe you didn't get that because the universe wants you to have something better. And so when I think about that, I always get really excited. I'm like, oh, I didn't get that. Woo-hoo! What does the universe have for me? It's going to be epic. If it wasn't oh yeah.
I always say, if not this, then something better.
Yep.
If not this, then something better.
And it's believing that and knowing it. Like we talked about. So when something doesn't happen, avoid immediately going into the I'm shit, I don't deserve it, something worse is going to happen. Immediately go into, oh, this is going to be epic. Yes. And just get excited about it because it'll be awesome. Whatever the universe gives you, it'll be a surprise and it will be amazing. So thank you everyone for signing in and helping and interacting. The comments were great. If you have any other questions during the replay or anything like that, shoot them in. We'll try to answer them as best we can. I'm going to share this to the YouTube channel, and then it'll be up on my page, and then I will hopefully figure out how to send this to Jana, and she will put it on her marvelous page. What is your Facebook page, Jana?
So I have a group for women entrepreneurs. It's called the Confident Woman Entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And so that's a free group. And so I can post it in there too, but I share a lot of free content about manifesting. You guys are welcome to join. Even if you're not an entrepreneur yet, maybe you have a business idea, mm-hmm. You can still join because I think it'll still be beneficial. So that's the Confident Woman Entrepreneur. Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely. And I am a member of her group, and it's super fun. And I love the content and also the topics. So it can be very thought-provoking if you let it, like, open up to learn more about yourself through it. Everyone, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us. And go out, manifest something awesome, and then drop it in the comments so that we can celebrate with you. All right. Bye, everybody.